Yo, we back again. Back at you. Straight from the chair, baby. It's me, Marcus, the barber with the bow tie.
And I'm Brice Davis of BriceDavisMedia, you heard?
What up, Brice? With
Oh man, we got some questions in the other day. Should a man have to pay it first?
Pay what?
And why? Like, if you take a girl out, should you be paying first? Because from my understanding of when you go on a date, whoever invites who out to who, that's the person who usually pays. But we all know when it comes to dating, men are expected to pay. So I'm gonna let you start off first. Put you in the hot seat.
Shit, bro. You know, I'm an Aries. I'm a fire sign. I like it hot.
Let's go. So
yeah, I'm kind of old school. I believe to set the standard, I think the man should pay. You know what I mean? But I've been told I didn't have to pay. You know, and it made me feel funny. Like, I don't know what you're trying to prove, but I'm cool with that too. Like, I'll let the woman decide, man. I don't mind paying. Me, honestly, although would consider myself the traditional man, I'm also progressive. You know what I mean? And I don't want to shatter anyone's ego by trying to prove something. You know what I mean? Women want to pay. Shit, they can pay for themselves. They can pay for me. You know, we can pay separately. However you want to do it, man. I'm cool on the confusion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, let's just get to know each other.
But I think that's a way for a woman to express her interest too, is by paying. So, like, if you go on a second date and she's willing to pay, I take that as a good sign. Like, oh yeah, she feeling it if she's willing. Or sometimes it can be a bad sign, because that might be her way of saying, like, yo, I'm good on this date. Like, I ain't trying to really talk to you again after this. Don't feel like you owe me because I paid. Because we know that that's a thing too, to where men be feeling entitled because they paid, that they deserve something more. But we're also traditional men too, so, you know, it's always been a tradition for the man to pay up front.
I think the meal setting and the drink setting is different.
Okay.
I think at the club, and I could be wrong, but I think the club atmosphere, men in the club atmosphere expect a little more instant gratification than a man taking a woman out. You know what I mean? Like, I think the buy me a drink thing comes with some expectation. The buy me a drink thing puts a man in a position to have expectations, because you're just meeting them, you spending on them, and it's like, so what comes from this? You know what I mean? As opposed to taking someone out. If it's the first date, I think that's where your representative is.
Yeah.
You know, and so you making a great impression and you want to get off to a good start. So most men might pay first, but I don't really have a problem either way.
Yeah, and you also got to be careful with, not be careful, but I would advise women to be mindful of accepting drinks from guys, only because you don't really know the intention behind the drink buying. And unfortunately, one bad apple ruins it for everybody. Like,
respect.
Yeah, if I buy you a drink, it's usually to show that, it's like I'm being nice. Like, but that don't mean I'm expecting something from you. But I can totally understand why they might look at it a little different.
So that goes back to the whole, well, no, it doesn't go back to it, but it makes me think of what we talked about the promiscuous woman. I mean, if she's going to give it to you, she's going to give it to you. So you don't have to persuade a woman. You know what I mean? Like, the whole drink thing, I would like a dance. If I buy you a drink, I want to dance. That's it.
It shows interest to me.
You know what I mean? But I don't necessarily have to receive anything from a woman if I'm buying a drink. That's one of the fortunate luxuries of being a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? You're just going to get attention. And if someone feels inclined to showing love, that's one of the ways you show love. Let me buy you a drink in the club. You know what I mean? I think pop culture has blown it out of proportion. We don't necessarily expect anything from women, but the only way you can find out if anything will crack is by initiation. You know, you got to initiate a move. Like, so if I'm at the club, then can I buy you a drink? That might start a conversation. If it don't, then keep pushing.
I was saying the same way. Like, if she takes her drink and goes off, you gotta charge it to the game.
Right.
And that's part of the game, is taking your shot. You take your shot, you miss. You know what I'm saying? It's just part of the game. Can't complain about it. You know, this one going online as well a lot is the idea of being submissive. So is the concept of being submissive, is that outdated as well to you, or you think that that's still
submissive? I think it's, honestly, I think it's underrated. I don't think it's overrated. I think it's underrated. I think we make a big deal out of it when it should be a respect issue, a respect factor. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Because we submit to everything. Men, we submit to our bodies. We submit to the urge to have to go to the bathroom. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's different forms
You
for
know what I
sure.
mean? A submission. So submission is a way of life. It's just where you apply it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think there's different ways of submissive. 'Cause I think a lot of times women think of it as quote unquote being a slave
Slavery.
to somebody.
I mean, I think in my perception of how they look at it is slavery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've heard women say you don't even have to ask a woman to submit to a quote unquote real man. You know what I mean? Whatever their definition of real man is, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, 100%. And we definitely use the word submissive totally different. We hear it different. Our understanding of it is totally different from one another. And we obviously see that online with the bashing and disagreement of it.
Well, we both are submissive to one another. I just
Yeah.
don't think we are
I agree.
submissive enough. I don't think we understand what it means to be submissive, and I don't think we respect the position of someone who is submissive
Yeah.
on either side.
Yeah.
So that's why it's such a pungent smell when somebody, you know, when you smell something that stank, you can't help but to frown your face up. And I think that's the outlook most women have on that term, submission. You know what I mean? I ain't about to submit to no, yeah.
Yeah.
It ain't that serious for real, because when a woman loves a man, it's innate in them.
Yeah.
Like I don't even talk about these things to women because it's innate. Because I'm going to reciprocate.
Right,
I'm going to
right.
lead by example. I'm going to lead by example, and I'm going to reciprocate. You know, in the beginning of relationships, you get to know a person, and you know you got to test the water here and there to see your safe, your secure areas. You know what I mean in the relationship. You know, but once you find that, listen, man, I'm cool here. There's respect level. There's an appreciation level. There's a level of earnest love and intention behind our actions towards one another. Submission won't even be a topic of conversation. It's just automatic.
It's kind of like what you said about, you know, you reciprocate it. The way I see men submitting, it looks a little different, but it's still like some kind of the same concept. Like, you ever had a friend that he got with somebody and he actually turned up?
Right.
Like, oh yeah, bro, ain't playing no more. He coming straight home. Like, he working harder.
Right.
Like, he's more motivated. To me, that's like how we express it, which is expressed differently, you know. So there's something you said earlier, and that was nicely put too. But the polyamory thing,
right?
Loving more than one person at the same time. I definitely personally feel like it's entirely possible. And I'm only speaking from a man's point of view. I don't know about women.
Right.
But there's definitely been situations where you was with someone and like you had your heart in two different places, and you had to think to yourself like, man, which one should I be dealing with?
Right.
Like, so I entirely think it's possible. I understand that you might not like them equally both the same way. You might like one more than the other. That's usually how you choose what partner you stay with, at least in a monogamous relationship.
Right.
I know you're more on the polyamory side.
No, I'm
polygamy. My bad.
Polygyny.
Polygyny. Put some respect on it.
Polygyny. That's a one man, multiple wives.
Okay.
That is my dream. That is my fantasy. That is where my relationship is heading. You know, once again, I believe in double standards. I believe any man or any woman can love multiple people. I do believe a man can be responsible for and to more than one person, but I don't believe a woman can. I don't believe a woman has the capacity to be a wife to three husbands like a man could be a husband to three wives.
I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
100%. So would you like both your wives the same way? Like,
yeah.
Okay. So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah. And of course, we're doing research and studying authors who've written books on these topics. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, on some nigga shit, you know, we'd be haphazard with what we're doing, but there is a system to the game. You know what I mean? Like any game, basketball has a science and a system, philosophy. Football, you know what I mean? Soccer, all that. So this game has a philosophy and a science too. I think there's a double standard there, but I believe both men and women can love more than one person. But being responsible to them, is different.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you said that, about the system thing, because, a lot of people going to hear that, or at least women that be like, oh, he's just greedy. He just trying to have, like, multiple women to fornicate with and go home and, treat one special and the other one's, like, side joints.
Well, let's keep it short and sweet. But think of it like, to be in a relationship with one person is more than just sex. Like, even if you're dating that person for sex, if you're into them, you got to be concerned with their mental, physical, spiritual, and financial wealth and health. You're intertwined with this person in all those ways. Now, for a man to add one or two more people to that dynamic, it has to be consensual amongst everyone. The woman has to be down for it as much as the man. Most times the women are instrumental in finding the new addition to the family.
Oh yeah, that's important to note out too.
Right, for them to get along. Yeah. They have to get along.
Like I said, they think it's just you that's calling everything, and it's like, they can participate. But I don't know, I'm learning.
Right, I'm learning too. I mean, this is the first year I've indulged and have experienced this, and it's still not as easy as it seems. Loving more than one person is as easy done as it is said. I just think we have to define what we mean by that word love, because sometimes we confuse love and lust. So, but it's a responsibility, man. You have to be considerate of each woman's mental state, each woman's emotional state, each woman's moral state. And you have to, if you're in a relationship, you have to be capable of directing traffic. It's supposed to be an avenue to saving the culture, but we look at it as, somebody trying to steal what's mine. But there is a certain level of security that you got to have within yourself as a woman to allow yourself to be in a dynamic like that.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's still a double standard. I'm a man, and no, you can't have another man in this relationship.
Oh, yeah. No.
So you got to be willing to be down for that.
I always use that, the metaphor about the key can open a bunch of locks,
Right.
That represents the man.
Right.
I've always heard that. Let's lighten things up a little bit, man. You going through the phone. Have you ever went through the phone? Go on, let's be honest, though.
No, I ain't never went through the phone.
You never went through the phone?
I ain't never went through the phone. I think, so it's like this, especially after going to prison, bro. I have a newfound respect for personal space. You know what I mean? Like, it ain't nothing like a motherfucker in your personal space that you don't want in your personal space. You know what I mean? So in saying that, I guess we should want our partners to be in our personal space. Even in relationships, I believe that everybody should have their own individuality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also believe that in any circumstance, there should be a place where you can go where nobody else can go with you.
Yeah, I get the privacy thing.
Right.
But let me hit you with a scenario. You out with your girl, and all of a sudden you see, it might be the Apple Watch, it might be whatever. Tyrone might be texting your girl like WID. You're like, oh yeah, that's 11 o'clock at night. Or he might start seeing a bunch of dude names on late night, and that might cause you to want to investigate, because I always thought it was light-skinned behavior. Like when Drake said, I'm going through her phone while she in the shower.
Right.
I always looked at that as like, yeah, bro, I ain't doing all that.
Right.
Yeah, but then there's scenarios that you might want to investigate, and I'm not saying that you need to get aggressive with it. Like whenever if the opening presents itself and you start seeing some things and you've been questioning, I say go for it. But if the opening's not there, then I wouldn't go out my way to go through it.
One thing I've learned is what goes on the dark comes out in light, man. I don't have to go through your phone, man. Because eventually, if you don't want to be with me, you're not going to be with me. And if I want to be with you, regardless of what's going on in your phone.
Yeah, but some of them like their cake and want to eat it too.
Like I said, bro. Yeah. If you want, like I said, that's just what I go by. If I want to be with you, I'm going to work it out. We gonna work it out. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to go looking for something. Now, if something comes to light and something is revealed that shouldn't be happening, then I'll address it accordingly. But I mean, shit, I'm 50. You know how many people I talk to? And then I'm a barber, so my phone is always going off.
Oh, I know it's always lit.
You know what I mean? So I am not about to be insecure about her phone blowing up unless there was something to provoke it. And I'm still not gonna go to her phone because I mean, hypothetically speaking, that's just not player to me.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah. Oh
not.
no, it's definitely not P.
But
I'll admit that it's
in
not
this
P.
relationship that I currently have, we're learning to be transparent and open to one another. So that provides a lot of space for openness. You know what I mean? When you ain't being
Yeah,
pressured to be open, it allows you to just be open. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But if you got something to hide, now I ain't gonna lie. If you go through my phone, it might be some things in there you ain't gonna like. But that ain't my reason. So let me say this.
okay.
Just because I let you go through my phone, that doesn't mean you're not gonna find something you don't like. And just because I don't let you go through my phone
Yeah,
doesn't mean there's something in there. I just believe in a certain level of privacy. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And I come from a family where my mama told everybody our business.
yeah.
You know what I
It's kind of
mean?
like what you said earlier about the darkness come to light, which I agree with you on.
Mm.
So, like for instance, I know somebody that recently, the girl he was messing with, was messing with him, and she got caught up. Well, she was getting caught because they was communicating through the phones,
Right.
like through text, which you ain't supposed to do. But he noticed, like, hey yo, why you making this your coworker lunch? You know what I'm saying? Like that sort of thing.
Mm.
And so after 2-3 times of getting caught up with that, eventually, they separated because he found out like, yo, she be cheating on him.
Right.
But had he, I'm not saying went through the phone, but did a little investigation, it would have went down sooner,
Right.
way sooner. It wouldn't have been months later. It would have been
Right.
like that.
Well, that was going to happen anyway. That's my example.
Right.
That was going to happen.
And
anyway.
it kind of depends on your level of awareness. Like me and you were seasoned, so we know what to look for early.
Right.
But let's take you about when you was in your 20s, when you was a little more naive and gullible.
Right.
You might not know to react to certain information a certain way. Like, hey yo, like what's up with? Because I was always told like, yo, whatever you do, don't be insecure and reactive.
Right.
But now if something bothers me, I'm gonna say something like.
Yeah, I think if something bothers me, I'm going to assess it, process it. And if it's me, because a lot of times, man, shit bothered us because you feeling guilty. Something you did wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
and her response to you questioning, if she gets defensive, my antennas will go up even more.
Right,
like, why is that such a big deal? Me asking why this dude is texting, like it can be gone in 5 seconds. Like, oh yeah, it's just in that. Like, but I don't even like to venture into that territory.
Right.
That's more so like last resort. Like, it's just something that absolutely needs to be addressed.
I don't think so. If a woman has ever cheated on me, I have never known. If a woman has ever cheated on me, I would have. I recently found out, and when I say recently, I mean after graduation. I found out chick I was seeing in high school was fucking somebody else, but I wasn't fucking in high school, so it didn't bother me. You know what I mean? Like, I like to think you're a good gauge of your relationship, man. And if there are areas where you're slacking, pick up in those areas. You know what I mean? No one's perfect, but if there are areas where you can do better, do better. I mean, the only time you start feeling insecure is when you're feeling guilty. And you're not. I'm not saying you're feeling guilty because you're fucking with somebody else. You're feeling guilty because you might be feeling inadequate somewhere. Yeah. You might want to be better in areas that you're not. So that causes lapses in relationship dealings and communication barriers and all that craziness. Like, if you are up on the up and up and there's nothing wrong and everything's going accordingly and something is still happening behind your back, then it wasn't meant to be. But I'm not prying. I don't want to pry through nobody's phone. Ultimately, if the relationship is going to end, it's going to end regardless. You know what I mean?
Right. I think the same way. But when things do end, you always got to take accountability, even if the other person was in the wrong. Right. You always got to look back and reflect, what did I do to contribute to this behavior? I don't get me wrong. Some people are, just a piece of shit. Like, it is what it is. But you still got to find ways to be like, yo.
And then I even take that lightly, man. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even say pieces of shit, man. Because until you really understand somebody, you don't. As simple as generic as that sounds, and oftentimes in relationships, we're not in it to try to understand the person that we're with. We're in it because it's comfortable for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think when you are really in a relationship that you are dissecting, positioning the situation to win by couple goals and planning and that kind of thing, you really won't have time for no other shit. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
unless that person is just fucking busy. You know what I mean? But I've never dealt with a woman like that. So, you know, I don't know how it feels to be cheated on, and no. You know what I mean? I don't know how it feels to.
Oh, I can speak to that. Advice to any man that happens to you. And don't even justify why it happened. Just leave. That's like the ultimate disrespect. Like, you trying to figure out why, like, it doesn't matter. Like,
for a man, I agree.
Yeah, there's just nothing that you can think of that's going to convince you to why it happened and why you was in the wrong. I don't care if you was in the wrong and you got caught up and then she did it back to you. Like, it's over.
I respect that. I think it's easier to come back for a woman than it is for a man. But I do believe the comeback is possible if you really, quote unquote, LOV her. You know what I mean? Considering why she may have stepped out. I don't know. I'm saying this
I can't overlook that one.
Right. Like I said, I don't know. I'm saying this because it's never happened to me. Okay. But ultimately, yeah, I mean, I think that would be an emasculating feeling. I think that's a double standard that I agree with. Men are different when it comes to cheating. When a woman cheats, it means something. You know what I mean? Men, we just out here, you know, we master keys, unlocking all the locks. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you to allow your lock to get keyed, you know,
any key.
You know what I mean? You're not going to break. Most women aren't going to lay down with just any man. She has to be really traumatized to just
it's supposed to be psychological. Like,
right. Correct me if I'm wrong, ladies. I know y'all are trying to be independent, and a lot of y'all are thinking you want to live a life equivalent to a man, especially the dating life. But can you really lay down with any man just off the whim of wanting to have sex?
And when you do, you know, the result of that, and this comes to my last question of the day, man.
The result of that is you got another soul tie. Accordingly, I don't believe in that, but...
Well, I'm talking about babies, man. If you found out the child wasn't yours, what you doing? Yeah, I love this one. Not baby, but child. Like, you done grew a couple years with this individual. You found out was it yours?
I mean, after a couple of years, he fucking mine, man.
Whoa, for real?
My nigga, really think about it, though.
I thought this all the way through.
Bruh, like the time you didn't spend with that little girl.
No. So let me combat you on that one. So, don't you feel like you're denying the real father privilege of bonding with his own?
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, I ain't saying, listen, I'm not saying don't get to know your new daddy if that's who you want to know. What I'm saying is, as a daddy, I'm not going to turn my back on you if you don't want me to. I didn't raise a kid up until 16 or 14.
Yeah.
And we just find out that it ain't mine. You can't reverse the biology or the nurturing connection that you've developed with this child. Like in my regular mind, I'm thinking, oh shit, that's one less responsibility. I want all my money back. Now moving forward, I might not be paying nothing. You know what I mean?
What if it's like more so like toddler age, like 3, 4? Because that's more so what I'm thinking. Like, because by then there's still an opportunity for the connection. I mean, it's gonna be strong regardless, but I think it's easier at 3 or 4 versus 13 and 14 because you've been there all of his life versus still having time to, you know, kind of forget things.
Yeah, 3 or 4. I don't remember shit from 3 or 4.
Right. So that's
I'd be
that age.
Tune.
Oh, okay. I was kind of thinking of that too
when
I said
that. I was thinking like raise a child 7, 8. That's something different.
So since I've never been in that space, I wouldn't know how to react. But for the most part, I do know that I wouldn't be taking care as far as the same responsibility. Like, I'm not paying no child support. I'm not going to be like everything that you'd expect from a father. I probably ain't going to commit to the same way.
No, I would think initially it would be just like a blow to the gut. You know what I mean? But after a while, man, what? One less.
And then what type of mom would do that to you? Because that's the thing I'm not dealing with. Probably somebody that has that mindset. I'm probably not dealing with them long term.
If she honestly didn't know, I mean, because you know we be fucking. You know what I mean? So, I mean, you know, if we're in a relationship,
to trick me, and you knew that this wasn't mine.
Well, that's the difference. Like the intent, like the way it goes down is important. You know what I mean? If she knew all this time, yeah, I got a problem. But if you didn't know, I legitimately didn't know, you got to
Well, yeah, that would be a little
take
different.
one for the team, man, and see where we're going from here. Like, because if we're still in the relationship, I got to decide if I want to stay in it.
Yeah,
You
because
know
that's
what
a
I
lot
mean?
different than dude that never keeps a job is the one that put it in, and I know he is steady and he has resources, so I'm gonna put it on him because I know it's gonna be taken care of versus that sort of thing. I gotta be in that position to exactly know how I would play it because it's easy to say that I would just disconnect and be gone, which I still think I probably would more so not be there as much, but I don't really know because I ain't been in that position.
I thank God that that's not
Right.
my situation.
Right.
I can only speak hypothetically.
But that does run. You probably have friends or family that's happened to, where they just continue to take care of the child because they was there from an early start,
I think I
kept the
do have a
relationship.
homie like that. He
Yeah.
was the child. I mean, his mom called herself trying to get child support after, she stopped fucking with the nigga and found out it wasn't even his. Fucked the dude up because the dude was already 13 by then. So he been calling this nigga daddy for 13 years.
Yeah.
And the dude would have been cool, but the daddy was like, "Oh, I'm not your daddy." So he totally disconnected after 13 years. That's crazy because now that we're thinking about it, I know firsthand of the situation. And that fucked him up,
Yeah.
bro. He ain't been the same since. Like, it wasn't his fault that he was brought here or
Right.
told that this nigga was his daddy.
Right. I think that's pretty much wraps it up for.
I forgot to hit y'all with a barber tip. This tip is for people who bring their kids to the barbershop. I know that's your child. I know you brought them into this world. I know you're responsible for their every waking moments. But your child cannot listen to two people at once. So, if you can't sit in the barbershop and allow the barber to instruct your child on what he needs your child to do while he or she cuts their hair, either cut the kid's hair yourself or leave the barbershop while your kid's getting cut because it's distracting for you to tell the kid not to move when the barber might be moving his head. It might be distracting when you tell the kid be quiet or shut up when the barber is questioning the kid. We have ways we get our job done, and sometimes as a parent you interfere with that. So be mindful of that when you take your kids to the barbershop and let the barber take control. He'll be all right. Your son will get a cut that he enjoys, that you appreciate, and everybody will be happy.